So I think it's all about the mindset. We are focusing on local use cases. We have to veer out from that. So we have to design for global use cases. That's why we are not specifically focusing on, let's say, an actual use case. We're focusing on perfecting the agentic workflow. I'm Ragde Falcis. I'm the CEO and co-founder of ChatGenie. We are an agentic AI customer engagement platform, and we help mid-sized to large businesses and enterprises to effortlessly target, nurture, convert leads, and provide automated customer support.
I met you for the first time at the engineering heads meetup, and then you were talking about, this agentic customer platform that you were building and the software architecture behind it. Like, can you tell us the story of how you thought of building the entire thing?
Back then, we are providing an e-commerce solution for businesses that are looking to sell within Facebook Messenger and Instagram. So after the Techstars demo day last year, I stayed in San Francisco for 30 days, and I got immersed into the AI community there. And it's a very lightning experience. We tried experimenting with Gen AI tools, like using Open AI APIs to generate product descriptions. So back
Mm.
then, it's actually a low-hanging fruit use case as an e-commerce enabler at the time. Generate welcome message, generate greeting message, and we thought of building our own version of Copilot for e-commerce businesses. But we thought that providing value as a Copilot will take a while because you need to build sets of tools, combine them together, and then that's the time that you can only unlock value as a Copilot product. So around the end of Q3 last year, we thought of, what if we just go straight to providing value by automating customer support. Just to give a background about the company, the reason why we called ourselves as ChatGenie is because we're providing a chatbot solution back in 2018. No, so we pivoted out from that to provide in App Store commerce solutions,
But it was
and then now
more
we're
deterministic back then, because I think that's my assumption, right? Like, it's not a
yeah,
Gen AI solution yet. Like, it's traditional
ex-
decision trees implementation.
exactly the point. No, so back then we got suckered into the hype of NLPs. Back then it's NLP tech, no, a subset of AI. uh, we thought that back then the reason why we uh, tried the solution, tried offering the platform, is because the NLP we thought was matured already. And then after getting ourselves immersed into the building of the solution, we thought that it's not yet ready for prime time. So after all, it's just a decision tree, a glorified decision tree way of building chatbot solutions. So we thought we cannot proceed with this. There's no value in it. So we pivoted out from that to offer in-app store commerce solutions, and then now we are pivoting back to our origins, which is providing customer support. So we started doing that at the end of the first quarter last year, and we thought that, hey, rather than generating product descriptions, focusing on, back then we thought of building an AI persona representing the customers. So if you're going to look at it, how can you unlock value based from that? Even you get it right, like there's no direct value that your customers can unlock. No. So rather than doing that, hey, let's just automate customer support via these things that we already found out. So back then, we already found out the capabilities of Gen AI and also its limitations, because we've been dumbling for, I think, 4 months to figure out the best use case for it. No. And then after trying out automating customer support, we're getting a 30% accuracy rate. So what it means is that out of the 10 chatbot responses that we generated, it gets it 3 out of 10 of the time. So it's
Was
not
that an
acceptable.
agentic solution already or not yet?
Not yet. It's zero
Mm.
shot.
Okay.
So it's like
But it
this is the
uses an
inquiry.
LLM, but it's there's
Yeah,
no architecture behind it yet. It's like
yeah.
just
It's zero
designing the
shot.
prompt, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
as if that, like for example, there's this customer inquiry, copy and paste it, and then ask ChatGPT, what's the answer to this? And then
Mm, mm.
the LLM will provide the answer. It's zero shot. No,
Yeah.
there's no agentic uh, process, agentic approach that we did. So we thought we cannot offer this. So what can we offer? No, and then we stumbled upon this. I think video of Andrew Nang. I don't
Mm.
know how to pronounce his name. Andrew Nang. Andrew Nang. So Andrew
Yeah.
Nang. No. So he discussed advanced prompting techniques, no, agentic approach, no, multi-agent approach, multi-shot tool use. So we thought, what if we ask the LLM to reflect and let the LLM check if the responses that they initially provided is correct. So we started with
It's like
that.
a
It's like
classifier.
yeah, it's like
It's
a
like the first
hypothesis.
agent.
Like,
Yeah.
what if what will it improve its responses? And
Mm.
we were surprised. From 30%, it went up to 40, and then we kind of applied the advanced prompting techniques. It went from 40 to 50.
How
So
did you
now,
feel?
fast forward.
How did you feel when
So
that was happening?
this is this is something that we figured out 2 months before ChatGPT released their first reasoning model. So imagine from few shots, from reflection, and then we tried chain of thought prompting via our multi AI approach. Right now, that's actually what we're using. And we were surprised. Like there are some responses that even us when we look at the response breakdown, oh, really? This AI can do this? So there are nuances wherein the customer asks hello twice, but like there's 2 minutes apart. So what's the difference between the first hello and the second hello? So apparently the second hello shows negative sentiments. The first one is neutral, second one is negative. So how can the AI know that it shows negative sentiment?
Wow.
So
That's
so
super nuanced.
it
Yeah.
shows negative sentiment because the first one wasn't addressed. So the
Okay.
second one, which is unnecessary, was sent, and it shows negative again mood because again maybe the customer is being impatient. That's why they sent the
Mm,
second
mm.
hello message. So imagine that, right? So again with the chain of thought, right now they're calling it reasoning, right? But back then we call it just a chain of thought, like it's you verbalizing verbalizing your decisions, right? So I don't know if you play poker. Do you play poker? No.
Uh, I've been researching about it,
Yeah.
uh,
So for some,
just studying it.
basically
But
poker.
yeah.
Yeah. Basically, poker is just making good decisions. That's it. To put it simply, like for example, if someone opened in the pre-flop with this bet, and then continue the betting on the flop, like you, if you're going to call, you're just going to silently verbalize your decision making. What
Mm.
kind of card is he playing with this hand, with this betting sizing, with this betting style? And then from there you make the decision. Same thing
And
with
there's a
the
memory
with
layer as well, right? Like,
exactly,
this player has done these types of moves before, which is either aggressive or
exactly,
passive. So, like, how do you put
exactly,
factor that in, right?
exactly. So
Mm.
apart from the advanced prompt techniques that we employed, and I meant we are employing right now, there's also the memory implementation. Like of course you have to include the previous messages and also the messages of the staff if they replied manually to the rag, and then from there you'll be surprised if you combine all of those together, the advanced rag implementations that you have and then the advanced prompting techniques that you are using on your prompts, you can increase the accuracy rate. So right now we are playing around 80 to 90%, but we feel that it's not enough. No,
What's the
we
jump
want to.
like from like 40 to 80 to 90? What changed in your design, uh or like
So it's all
refinement
about,
or
yeah, it's all about
evals? Yeah.
observing the generations, the responses, and then from there you address it. Like sometimes there are certain agents that you have to loosen up the prompts
Mm.
because it's blocking the workflow to the another agent. Like for example, back then, so we have a multi-agent approach, right? So we have the intent agent interprets the ask, and then it will pass it on to the guard agent, which will check whether the ask of the customer is malicious or not. Back then, the instruction for the guard agent also includes if, if the inquiry is still within the bounds of the business description. Like for example, if the merchant is selling, let's say, hair growing products, but the customer asks how to cure cancer, of course, it's outside the bounds of the business. So what we did was we tried to loosen out the prompt by removing some of the like the things that it blocks so that it can move on to the rest of the agentic workflow. So you have to, of course, iterate each of every agents that you have on your workflow.
What's the like? Do you use any tools for like observability of your agents, and just because you need to simulate uh the customer experience, right? Like, are there tools that you prefer, or what's your workflow like there?
Right now, we have access to the merchant's dashboard. So on the inbox manager page, we can see, of course, the messages, the conversation panel, and then also the response breakdown. So on the response breakdown section, there's two tabs: the customer information, which contains the customer memory, and then the response breakdown. So on the response breakdown, we can see each of every responses of every agents on the workflow. So right now we're using that. Again, we started with that enable for us to analyze how the agents reacts. No, but right now we are actually looking at having an automated evals. I think I mentioned this to you briefly. No, so we are doing I think one is perplexity.
Mm.
Perplexity way of evals. It's basically showing the confidence level, and then the second is so there's two. I think this is standard. No? Second is we're going to use LLM as a judge. So it's like um, what are the shipping options available? So based on the tools that you have, that LLM as a judge can actually, of course, there's going to be a generation, and then the LLM as a judge will actually check whether that answer is within the bounds of the things that they can get from the RAG and all. So the LLM as a judge can be an agent on its own. So
Mm.
that's
So
something
it's
that
like
we're
a
looking at being able.
guardrails focused agent to a certain extent.
You can you can describe it that way, but basically the way how it will work is that it will check. It's like you have this box. This is the question, and then this is the answer. And then the LM as a judge will look at that particular box whether the provided answer is actually correct or not. If it's correct, it will tally, and then you'll get the sum, the average at the end. Yeah,
It's like comparing embeddings, probably, right? Like this chunk versus that chunk, and does it tally that way, or is there a different way to
it's
interpret
still
it?
within the
Yeah.
application layer actually.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're not doing pre-training. We're not doing post-training. It's still like using the RAG and the prompts is still within that area. No.
Are there any other like surprising techniques that you've discovered that, oh, okay, we can do this, like this works, while you were building out your agentic system?
The evals that we're developing right now, yes, you'll be. I don't know if you'll be surprised, but like right now, most of the models are innovating their LLMs through reasoning, right? So of course, everyone started with pre-training, and then now post-training, and then now reasoning, right? So that's why we have this reasoning models, O1, O3, R1, Gemini with Flash, uh, Grok. I think they have this like also reasoning model. So if you're going to look at it, why do they like ended up with that approach? It's all common sense. Like we exhausted, we hit a wall basically. No,
With all the
like
human
what I said.
data available in the
Yeah,
internet.
like what I said earlier. We already found out the capabilities and limitations of the models. Now, how can we improve it? It's common sense for you to use, chain of thought, enable for you to give the models an ability to reason. So same thing with what we're doing. Like for example, the evals. We started, when we are thinking of like approaches, sometimes it's just common sense. Like okay, applying first principle. This is the way how to solve this, and then you'll do a deeper research about the methods, and you'll come up. Oh, that's actually the same thing that I thought. So it's like how should I say it? Like yeah, first principle approach. Like most of the things that we are again all of the breakthroughs in AI are like leading edge, right? Like there's no
Yeah.
playbook on how to improve this. Like everyone is trying to. It's like a mini map on a strategy game. Like everything is black, and you try to figure out your way.
Mm.
Discover things. So same thing. Like I think yeah, that's why first principle is very useful in this journey. Like you're trying to figure out a potential solution based on your common sense, and then next thing you know, oh, that's actually the right approach based on the research that we conducted.
You spoke about your differentiator being able to access data from Facebook messages and other platforms. Why do you think that's important, at least for the customer?
The reason why we label ourselves as a customer uh, engagement platform is that, like, for example, if you are a business that sells on Facebook, right? If you sell on Facebook, definitely you are leveraging its network. When I say network, Facebook users, Messenger users, Instagram users, WhatsApp users, you're targeting their network of users, right? And then when you if you're going to do that, you have to use meta marketing APIs. That's actually something that we already embedded on our platform. This is in collaboration with Meta. They actually supported us. They funded us to basically integrate that. So now that if you have that kind of capability, next thing is okay. If you target them and if your marketing objective is let's say click to Messenger, right? If they click the ad, they'll definitely see a message on their inbox. And if that message is, let's say, custom, uh, and of course, the way how it works is that on the Facebook page, on the business side inbox, it seems like the customer is sending a custom message to the page. And then from there, our chatbot can actually interact, can
But
actually
the UI
activate
layer
this
is
whole
on
workflow.
Facebook. The UI layer is on like a
It's
message
all
paradigm
within
on
ChatGenie
Facebook.
dashboard.
Okay, okay.
It's all within. It's all within. What I'm
But you
referring to
import the
is
conversations onto
yeah,
your platform, and then you can
yeah,
respond on ChatGenie,
yeah.
right?
Of course, the message is still hosted on a Facebook server, right? And then from there, we have this workflow where they can actually nurture the customer and the leads. Like we have a best business messaging integration. Let's say, for example, the customer click the ad, so there's going to be a message that will be generated, right? And then if the customer didn't proceed with the checkout, then the merchant can actually nurture them by sending them regular message. Oh, we have a new promo. For example, if the merchant uploaded, let's say, a voucher code on their ChatGenie dashboard, our nurturing agent can actually detect that and craft a business messaging campaign, complete with the actual messaging and all. Again, that's something that we did in the past, right? Generating message, and then the merchant can just approve it, and then it will run on its own. So it can nurture the customer, run multiple campaigns until the customer decided to check out.
And the
So all of
nurturing
those are.
messages, are those like generated by uh your product, or those are manually done by the marketer of ChatGenie, or what's that workflow like?
So that's automatically generated with via
Oh
our
wow.
nurturing agent. Again, these are easy if you're going to look at it. Like for example, of course, the messaging should be centered around the discount. So for example, me as a merchant, I uploaded, let's say Holy Week discount, right? Good Friday discount. And then if you labeled it as Good Friday discount, the message is going to be easy for the AI to generate. So create a campaign for, let's say, Good Friday discount. Let's say 200 pesos, and then from there, it can like look for, let's say, products that are moving fast, and then from there, it can craft it within the message, and then it can send it to the customers. That's a good thing about the agentic workflow. It seems like a complex task, but it can be done autonomously, powered by AI.
Well, thinking as a product manager hat on, um just having the proprietary partnership with like Facebook or Meta, I think that's a big unlock. But then using, simple agentic patterns, but delivering the value to the user, right, through, the promos. And then I'm also a marketer, so I understand the value of nurturing. Like,
Yeah.
um I think it can create a lot of impact.
Also, just to add, the agentic workflow that we have, it's not static. It's not like static to what platforms we are in right now. So, for
What does that
example,
mean? So it's more extensible over time, right?
yeah. So the one that we are perfecting right now is the agentic workflow. So we are in the application layer. We are not perfecting the model layer. Again, that's outside our scope. No. So what we meant by perfecting the agentic workflow is that, let's say, for example, if we want to apply this on an enterprise setup, meaning they have their own CRM, let's say Salesforce, right? And then the channel is, let's say, email, SMS, or whatever channels they have. We can actually use the same agentic workflow to do the same approach. Like, for example, if they're running, let's say, this email marketing campaign, of course, there should be the signals that we should also pass on to the customer memory. And then from there, you can create customer segments. No? So, for example, if you run this campaign, and then out this campaign, these are all the recipients that actually interacted via seat. You can track the links, right? You can track the links, what are the links that they're clicking. No? So from there, you can actually use that, and then on the back end, you can have an agent that can actually automatically segments all of those recipients based on the links that they click, based on the activities that you have, right? That you have collected, and then from there, you can create another sequence on your drip campaign about the next messaging that you'll have, being able to nurture them. And then on the next nurturing campaign, let's say, for example, if some of those recipients convert, then again, the customer segment agent can now update it again, and then have another campaign. No? So again, it's the agentic workflow to be a perfect thing, but we can retrofit it based on the channels and tech stack of the enterprise that we can work with.
That's very cool. So like have you experienced actually retrofitting to, to very specific lines? Because I can imagine that every implementation will be custom, right? Like every client has a, they have a different setup, different working with different databases. Some don't have that many sophisticated data sources to just build a good customer profile for your agent. So what are your thoughts on that?
To tell you honestly, the customer engagement platform, the customer chat support automation is just a conversation starter for us. So right now, we are actually, I just had a few meetings earlier. We are exploring using chatbot to address internal use cases for HR. So, for example, we're talking to this big conglomerate, of course, tens of thousands of employees, and most of the employees' concerns are repetitive. You know? And of course, you can expect the HR to have their own customer or employee service team, right, to answer all of those inquiries. Whenever they receive, let's say, a repetitive, let's say, concern, they always point out to the FAQs. But of course, it didn't. It will not improve the process, right? So we're looking at using our agentic workflow for those use cases. That's one. And right now, I'm actually doing lead generation manually. So I'm looking at eating our own dog food by using our agentic workflow to connect the leads intake that workflow that I have, and then maybe use that connected to our CRM and maybe automate the drip campaign that I'm running right now. So those are the things that again um, can be solved by agentic workflow. No, it's not necessarily um, targeting, nurturing, converting leads, and providing customer support, but whatever workflow you have within your backend operations, our agentic workflow can actually address that.
Is that a custom offering or service you proactively do, or is that an experimental side project from the actual product, right, of ChatGenie? Because I could imagine that's kind of different, right? Like an HR use
Yeah,
case. Or
yeah.
would you say that the ChatGenie product is a general chat assistant that can adapt to anything? It's not super verticalized yet.
Actually, that's where we are going. We want to make sure that our agentic workflow can be vertically integrated. You know? So right now, we are actually focusing on again yung integrations that we did with Meta, like targeting, nurturing, converting leads, because those are the tech stack that we already have. No, uh, but the strategy that we have been able to establish mode is to customize solutions within the enterprise operation. The strategy is for us to be entangled within their operational workflow, so that it will be hard for us for our clients to uproot us. No, so what I mean is that when we talk to clients, we are very much open when it comes to customization. Like for example, oh, you want us to integrate within your billing systems as well, and then connect it to your CRM. Okay, what else? Do you want us to integrate within your forecasting tools? Let's say, for example, if you're running campaigns, all of those are the things that we can actually do. Right now, I think I already mentioned this to you as well during the meetup that we are empowering our orchestrator AI agent to be dynamic when it comes to uh, assigning and creating agents. So we
What does
imagine
that
that the
mean?
our
Well, let's segment it into what does an orchestrator agent mean, and then what does it mean to create or remove or modify agents?
so to explain it, I want to explain first the multi-agentic workflow that we have for customer service. No, so when a customer say goes to a Facebook page and sends a message, if that merchant is using ChatGenie to address customer support, when a message comes in, an intent agent will interpret and analyze the customer's requests. So you don't expect the AI to answer the inquiry correctly if it didn't get the inquiry correctly, right? So that's the role of the intent agent. So once it's interpreted, it will be passed on to the guard agent. Again, we want to make sure that the asks are safe, are not malicious in nature, because again, some of the agents that we have tool use, can do data manipulation. We don't want all of those things to happen, unwanted things to happen. And then once the guard agent uh, gives a green light to the inquiry, it will be passed on to the back then it's classification agent. So what it does is that it classifies the inquiry order. Is this an inquiry that's a general question, can be answered by knowledge, simple knowledge base? Is this inquiry shows clear intent to order? Therefore, we have to make sure that the product search agent is there to identify the product that they're looking to buy and then add to cart and then so on and so forth. But we realized that the classification agent is very limited. Like, for example, if the customer is making small talk, right? Of course, the customer don't know that they're conversing with chatbot. We don't want to tell them that. So, say for example, in the Filipino context, there's always hello, like hello, hi. That's some of the inquiries, no, that we receive. The classification AI agent is not powerful enough or is not dynamic enough to answer those. So what it does is that, I'm not. This is the actual response back then. I'm designed to answer order related inquiries. I'm not designed to engage in small talk. So like literally, So what we did was we replaced the classification agent to orchestrator agent. So now the orchestrator agent is actually more powerful and dynamic. So rather than, let's say, for example, identify the inquiry and then route it to the specific workflow. If it's general questions, it will route it to the general question agent, and then so on and so forth. But now, it can even address multiple inquiries in one message. What do I mean by that? So, for example, if the customer asks, "What are your shipping options? Can I order a white shirt?" So it's one message, but it's two different asks. So now the orchestrator agent, with the help of intent agent, can actually identify that one message block is actually two inquiries. So now, okay, it will spawn the general question workflow and also the product search workflow. So that's the current capability right now. But what we want is for the orchestrator AI agent to be powerful enough to spawn unique agents for specific edge cases,
Like more autonomous in nature,
more
super
autonomous.
dynamic depending on
Yeah,
what they're talking about. But then what are
exactly.
those edge cases? That's I'm curious about.
So that's where the vertical integration comes in. Like, for example, if they are, let's say, for example, this is not so edge case, but let's say, for example, uh, you are, say, you are a merchant sales on Facebook. So you sell, let's say, hair growing products. And then all of a sudden, there's going to be a message that you receive that says, I want to apply for this position. Where can I send their resume? How can you address that?
It's like
Diba?
someone's applying to
Yeah, it's
your
not the
company.
original use case of the
Yeah.
page, right? But it's something that you have to address as well. So the orchestrator agent should have, let's say, a workflow ready that can actually reply to that message. And then if let's say a resume comes that was sent, it can actually save it to a particular, let's say, repository. Like
But
those
those
are the
are
things that
is that experimental for you now, or it's not in production yet?
right now, again, we're not designing our orchestrator agent for that particular edge case because it's too simple. But we're looking at like um like more complex use cases that can happen within the enterprise. Let's say, for example, in an HR use case, like the initial ask was to ask or to address common and repetitive inquiries within the organization, right? Example, leave, um, like is today no work, no pay, like when's the effectivity of the salary increase,
Classic
things like
rag,
that. Yeah, those are
like
the things that can
problem
be
answer.
easily
Yeah.
be managed by Ragde, right?
Mm.
But what if, let's say, for example, um, I don't know, onboarding. Oh, it's not a edge. It's not an edge case. It's a common. But what if, let's say, for example, what kind of edge case can we, let's say, make an example of? Let's say, can I transfer to another department? Or, for example, I'm being harassed.
Resignation. Oh
Resignation.
yeah, yeah.
Resignation is not
Resignation.
use case. I mean,
Okay.
but
It's standard. Yeah.
again, yeah. The idea why we thought that this is very possible is that we saw how powerful AI coding agents are.
Mm.
Like right now, we're using it to onboard new talents. Like we encourage them to, if you're going to explore our code base, use cursor to, let's say,
Oh, you're a
have an
cursor fan, not windsurf. Okay.
yeah. I mean, I think it's all the same on the back end. They're all used like Sonnet 3.5, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, so
3.7.
right, 3.7
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but again, if you think of like, because you can use cursor to write prompts as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
So if
Mm.
it can do that, then an agent can actually do that, and cursor is an AI coding agent.
Yeah.
They get
And
it.
yeah, for sure.
Like it's so
It's a very
simple.
meta. It's very meta.
Yeah, yeah,
Like if you rely on first principles thinking, theoretically anything is possible, right? Like
exactly,
which is why it's so
exactly.
fun to live and build in this era.
And how can you make
Yeah.
sure that the new AI agent that will be spawned by the orchestrator agent is correct? Because you have the workflow perfected already.
What
So
does
I
that mean?
haven't.
Like when you say, "Oh, I have the workflow perfected already." Like, does that account for evals? Is there like a human in the loop there, or
So 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 on the orchestrator AI agent. So after that, let's say it pass on to, let's say a generic Q&A inquiry, right? It will pass on to, let's say, a conversation AI agent, and then the conversation AI agent will drop the response, and then before it will be sent to the customer, a supervisor AI agent will check whether the response is accurate, safe, and relevant. No. So imagine if you perfected that, and then the orchestrator AI agent will have the power to spawn new agents. That workflow can actually check it. So the supervisor agent is like LLM as a judge, but I'm making it simple, no? So let's say this is the inquiry and this is the end output. Supervisor agent, is that correct? If hindi, it will
yeah, it
then
will keep
have a loop.
looping. Yeah, yeah, until the
Yeah,
correct agent spawns.
exactly. Exactly. So if you're going to actually, you're doing it now already. Like for example, if there's a code that was generated and it, let's say, it didn't run correctly, the agentic workflow that you doing is right now it's manual. Like okay, it's not working. Make it like this and that. That's actually agentic process.
Mm, mm.
No,
And
it's
then
you're
it
doing
it
you're doing
it
few shots.
creates the correct agent. Like for
Yeah,
example, if you ask Cursor to test the thing or write unit tests or whatever, it becomes like a QA whatever agent,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
Uh, or like sometimes I ask my Cursor thing to build like a blog HTML page that understands the code base and creates like
Yeah.
info for VCs. Yeah, I showed my team earlier how to do it.
That's why that's why
Yeah,
that's why it's super exciting to build right now. It's super exciting to build right now. You're a product manager, right?
kind
You
of
can
like
do.
I do almost all of the rules at Swarm, but it's so fun, right? Like as a product designer, like I built. Uh, I'm a product designer by trade originally. Like I built my own badminton queuing app with my design skills, but now I'm enabled and now I know how to do basic
Vibe code.
software engineering, like vibe code is the thing. But I because of that, it entices me to know more about software engineering principles, right? Like state management, like what does an event bus mean, or like, okay, how should I think about classes, objects, etc., etc. Actually, one thing I'm curious about is since we you I think primarily operate in the Philippines, right? And there's a need for like a Taglish kind of model. Like, do you rely on the general, uh, you know, LLMs for that, or uh, did you fine tune it some way, or not really?
Advanced LLMs right now, to be specific, OpenAI has enough Taglish data set,
Knowledge. Yeah,
training
yeah.
training data set and knowledge to understand Taglish. Even Bisaya, even other dialects, it can understand it.
Wow,
No,
cool.
yeah,
Because
that's
that's
actually
I
the
think
reason
that's a
why.
concern for most enterprises. I think so. Like, that's
Yeah,
good to hear.
that's actually the reason why we went ahead with this, because I tried it with Taglish first. Because when we were doing Chat Genie in 2018, that's actually one of the problems that we have, Taglish. Because we're using decision tree and keywords base, right?
Hmm.
Without the context,
Yeah.
right? So, but what if the customer is conversing in Taglish or Tagalog, and our keywords are, let's say, English? So how can we do that? That's why we stopped it. But this time, again, I tried the limitations we had in the past in 2024. Then that's when we pulled the trigger and went ahead full on with this.
Wow, that's super cool. Like, that should, make most people feel assured that it can handle most of the requests. Uh,
Yeah. But I think what it lacks is this one. I don't know. I haven't tried it. Is the advanced voice mode, or what they call true audio. Are you familiar with it?
like
So
with the
when it comes,
OpenAI platform, like I tried doing Taglish there actually on the OpenAI
how was it?
platform. It's pretty good. Like, I asked it to act the role of an Athenian like student who is konyo something something, and actually it actually did it pretty well. So I'm super surprised. So that's a potential area of exploration for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. I don't know if it has the enough training data set, because the way how a true voice mode works is that instead of like tokens as text, it's like chunk of audio. So that's the way how it works.
Yeah.
I just don't know if our agentic approach can work with that. That one, it remains to be seen whether that's something, whether our agentic workflow can actually work with that or compatible with that. That's
It's still a
why,
bit
yeah,
expensive though, I think, like to do the voice workflows to a certain extent. Like, but
yeah.
there are open source alternatives as well. But I'm not sure if, like, for a Filipino user base, if they prefer voice. Mostly
If that
people just
matters,
do
no.
text anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the reason why we stopped with chat mode. Because again, number one, our agentic workflow already introduced latency in the process. If we're going to do voice mode, if we're going to use the same agentic workflow that we have, the way how it works is that if a customer, let's say, they converse to our chatbot, our chatbot needs to, um, let's say, convert the voice to text first, and then before it can work on our agentic workflow, and then once we have the final response as text, it will then be converted to audio. So it's not straightforward. No, unlike OpenAI, I think their true audio and traditional LLMs via text is I think well integrated right now. I think it's just one and the same.
Yeah.
Uh, I haven't seen like other. I don't. Llama definitely doesn't have that. I haven't seen, let's say, a model that can actually work smoothly as OpenAI when it comes to the true audio.
In terms of tech stack, like do you have developed like preferences? Like let's say some people don't like LangChain or LangGraph or whatever, or some people prefer frame open source frameworks like AutoGen for deploying the multi-agent stuff. Like what's your preference?
Actually, the same. So we're not using LangChain because again, our agentic workflow already introduced latency in the process. I think adding one more layer can make that latency twice as low or twice as long. So right now, it's pedal to the metal as much as possible.
You mean
There's
like you
no
just
layer.
develop your own functions, call
Yeah,
the actual LLM? It's much more
yeah,
straightforward that way. No more
yeah,
abstractions to deal with, right?
yeah, exactly. And the reason why we're doing that, again, we want to focus on the application layer. The reason why I keep on repeating that is because if they are enterprise that wants to deploy our agentic workflow on-prem, which we can use OpenAI because it's not open source. It's not open source. You can download it. No, we can use Llama 3 or any other open source LLMs to be deployed on on-prem. Same thing with VPCs, Visual Private Cloud. Let's say, for example, they're on Google, they're on Amazon, wherein we can't use OpenAI, right? Then we can use any other LLMs, and then we can just put our agentic workflow on top of whatever LLMs they want to use.
Cool. Like I love it. I think one principle for builders is definitely being model agnostic, but also respecting the needs of the clients. Like if it's on prem, understanding which models to use there. It seems like you prefer Meta's models, but I'm sure a lot more will crop up uh, every
Definitely,
day.
definitely.
Like maybe an hour after this
Right now,
conversation. Yeah.
yeah, right now, the Anthropic's model are very promising, but for a specific use case.
Yeah.
Like what I said during the meetup, no, I think when it comes to customer support, you don't need to have a PhD level AI or LLM for this use case. The way how I envision it is that there's going to be like AI agents that can be deployed on edge case devices. I'm sorry, edge
Okay.
devices. So, for example, we can be, let's say, a Google Chrome browser. There's going to be an agent. Let's say, for example, you have that agent activated to all websites that use ChatGenie. No?
Mm.
So, for example, you have that question. Oh, we have the model that can actually run on your device. It's a quant size model specifically for, let's say, low level intents, right? So, for example, like knowledge base, so we can actually answer that, and then that particular agent can communicate to the agents that are deployed on the cloud. But the thing is, there are certain like answers that can be addressed by or inquiries that can be addressed by the agents that are residing on edge devices.
That's when you
So
kick it off
that's
to
how we
the
envision.
smarter models for specific use cases that are more important.
Yeah, like for example, well, I don't want to be excited, but yeah, we're trying out, at least me personally, some special projects, no, that I hope we can share in the to the public, no, very soon. But yeah,
Yeah, special projects are always fun. I think everyone has their special project nowadays because the barrier to entry is just lower. But I think one call out is that at least when thinking about building for customers and enterprises and businesses, uh, mixing and matching to accommodate a specific cost structure, right? So you don't bloat the cost. Uh, is pretty important. I don't know if you actively think and optimize for that. I'm sure you do. Um,
Actually, since the beginning, we are measuring our input and output tokens. So on our super admin, let's say for this generation, like how much tokens did we consume? We are actually very conscious about that because we need number one, we need to know how much tokens we are spending for each generation, so that we can price the product well to our customers, so that whenever we onboard a client, we know our how much the generations costs are, and from there we can easily see our margins. So it's like a business decision as well to monitor the tokens
is your pricing model like uh on task usage, or is it like per agent, pay
or
per
SaaS.
agent or something?
Right now we have we call it a paid trial subscription. It's still trial but paid. No, we explicitly name. So it only costs merchants 1,000 pesos per month. It's a paid trial. You want to access this solution, uh, you need to pay 1,000 pesos. And then for every 4,000 chatbot responses, you have to pay 5,000 pesos, $100, around $100 to get the chatbot responses to work. No. For mid-size businesses, we have the silver tier, which starts at 50,000 pesos per month. That already includes 20,000 chatbot responses. The idea there is to make sure that again we make sure that we provide the value that they're looking for when they subscribe to our product. Let's say, for example, they don't have the volume yet for uh, for the product to make sense, then they can just use the pay trial, right? But if they are a business that already has the volume of customer inquiries, rather than like hire a full-time customer service team, no, they can just use us. So that's the strategy when it comes to the model. And also we have the managed AI services. So the managed AI services is the one that I mentioned earlier. Say, for example, they want to do customization, they want us to fill in the gaps within their knowledge base,
Mm.
because you can expect the businesses to update the knowledge base every now and then. So what we do is we're going to look at uh, the responses. Oh, the reason why the chatbot responded this way is because there's no entry in the knowledge base to get the fact from. So we can help them fill in the gaps. And also, if they're looking at uh, customizing the solution, say integrated to their billing systems, integrated within their CRM, or integrated within their, let's say, SMS solutions, then that's something that we can also offer.
That's very cool. Like the managing the knowledge stuff and the data pipelines, because that directly affects the quality of the generations of the chat, and
Exactly.
inevitably it's still a service that people will need. uh, I think one insight for us, at least at Swarm, since we're like an ecosystem of AI consultancies, right? Most AI product founders who offer stuff like this, like agents, they inevitably have to do some level of consulting as well, or like a service to customize the thing for their customers.
When you move up to target enterprise clients, you should be open to customization. That's actually the thinking that I'm trying to embrace right now. Because back then, our old product, when we had a customer development meeting, and then the customer always requests a lot, let's say, customizations, uh, it's not going to be a good meeting. We're not going to onboard this customer, because what we want are customers that we can onboard right away, right?
Yeah.
If a customization will take around 3 months, for us to finish, and then that's the only time we can onboard them. That's it's not the ideal customer profile.
Yeah.
But right now, the ideal customer profile is the one that can see value in our solution and also are looking at customizing our solution so that it can fit their operational workflow. Integrate to their SAP, Salesforce. Those are perfect, perfect and ideal customer profile for us.
Let me ask you about, like, for founders who aspire to be someone like you, right? Who want to build uh, an AI startup, or want to dabble in agents and potentially, maybe do Techstars also. Go to San Francisco. What's your advice for them?
Like, make sure that you're developing a product that will serve a customer base. So, meaning, if you're going to develop a product, make sure you base it on the customer development interview sessions that you had. There's a market for what you're building. Again, that's a common pitfall for a technical founder like me. You know, I always get excited about the technology.
Through voice.
Okay, okay, let's develop this. This is cool. Let's
Yeah.
develop this. And then you got suckered into it. You got so passionate about building it, and then when you feel that it's ready for the market, you sell it. You realize that there's no need, right? Or maybe it can come in multiple flavors. Eh. Once you're ready, you try to sell it, and you realize that the market is small enough for you to be a $1 billion company, right? So you have to make sure. Again, this chatbot that we are developing, this is actually from a series of customer development interviews we did in 2023. So back in 2023, we're still in App Store commerce platform. No, and whenever we do customer development sessions, there's a common theme that always pops up, and that is our customers. The reason why they went and used ChatGenie is because they want to automate the customer service inquiries that they're receiving. So back then, we always dismissed that. Oh, they like chatbot. We're not chatbot right now. Okay, so this is not ICP. We're not going to focus on them. Move on. Let's have another one. And when we look back on our notes, we realize, yeah, I think it's a bad decision why we keep on persevering on that product. And again, I can't blame myself because it's only in 2024 that we saw the real potential of LLMs, right? In 2023, ChatGPT, right? It blew up like, wow, this is good. But again, it's only 2024 when we heard about Andrew Nang.
Deep
And then
learning
that's the only
AI.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah. So without those again connecting the dots, looking backwards, no, you can't really predict it. You can like look back and see whether you're making a good decision. But the thing is, there are certain like basics that you have to look at. Like make sure that what you're developing is something that came from your customer development interviews. Do that first, customer development interviews.
cool. I think what happened is you started reworking your product from customer insights, from your interviews, and then the the age of AI happened, and it became more feasible uh, to do this type of product, enough for you to pivot to it, right? Like classic viable, feasible, like desirable um, triangle.
That's actually the
uh,
reason why we went ahead with this confidently. Back then, you're not confident, right? Like you're second guessing your decision. Is this pivot right? And then it's really the AI, that the maturity of the technologies that we have right now. Really, is really what drove us and be confident on this decision at pivot.
One last question for you. Being, I guess, one of the first movers in terms of building an agentic product locally, right? So, what are your thoughts on how we're progressing, like as a as a community here in the Philippines? Do you
The
think,
Philippines.
yeah, do we have enough AI engineers, or are people like um are people building the right things, or like are they stuck in some sort of like POC hype mode, like AI, we need AI kind of vibe? What are your thoughts on that?
Do you want my honest and controversial opinion?
Right, yeah, yeah, of course,
Or
like
you want
why
the
not?
PR friendly answer?
Like, why not both, right? Like, okay, you can start with the PR friendly answer.
Yeah. Well, generally, right, in Southeast Asia, the enterprises seems conservative compared to our Western counterparts, right? So you don't see big enterprises, conglomerates pulling the trigger and making like big POCs when it comes to AI. It's
Like
still a
business
wait and
as
see
usual
approach. Yeah,
kind of.
it's still
Yeah.
business as usual, wait and see mode. Not unlike the AI counterparts that we have that's funded by YC. You keep hearing on their podcast that you know they grew their ARRs to, let's say, multi-million dollars, right?
100
Even
million in a
after,
record time.
yeah, even after the
Yeah.
graduation, right? It's not happening here because enterprises are in a wait and see mode. Like they're still waiting. Like they're waiting for that inflection point. Like for example, if this one enterprise, let's say we are still waiting for a local version of Klarna,
Oh yeah, like
right?
for e-commerce
So for example,
implementation. Yeah.
I think we need that enable for things to happen fast. But the thing is, what we're actually doing is that rather than waiting for the wave to come and then ride it, we're actually preparing and equipping ourselves, build the best surfboard so that when that wave comes, we are fully ready to ride and dominate it. You know, my controversial opinion take into this is that yeah, we're super behind compared to our Southeast Asia neighbors like Vietnam and Thailand. No, I think because also it's an ecosystem. Like, how can you push the startups to do AI if there's no market for them to serve? No, and right now we are focusing on domestic use case, right? And that's why we're not waiting for market to develop and us to take it. Is because we are trying to develop not only for the local market. Of course, we're going to test it on the domestic market. Once we validate it, that's the time that we can ask our partners to upsell us in other markets. Like Meta is actually doing a good job us upselling to their advertisers. So I think it's all about the mindset. We are focusing on local use cases. We have to veer out from that. So we have to design for global use cases. That's why we are not specifically focusing on, let's say, an actual use case. We're focusing on perfecting the agentic workflow because once you perfect the agentic workflow, the application, the use cases that you have will have multiple and limitless use cases, and it can be deployed in other countries in not only in Southeast Asia but for the whole world. No, because the LLMs knows no language boundaries. It can understand Vietnamese, Bahasa, uh, French, and so on and so forth. No? So I think if we have that, let's say, mindset, uh, we won't be hampered down on waiting for the market to mature so that we can get the gains, uh, and think of a global as your market since day one.
Yeah, I think
So
it's the new zeitgeist. I think at least for what I'm hearing from the local VCs, they people need a startup based here that competes globally, right? Like I
yeah,
think that's the correct mindset for founders moving forward. So you don't also get stuck pigeonholed into like the local market and the barriers for penetrating that market.
yeah,
But
and
yeah,
to
yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
and to add to that, that's one of the reasons why we are actually pushing for AI startups to convene together, have our own community, so that we can exchange notes, share our best practices, and then from there we can maybe start the movement on a more stronger phase. So yeah, I mean it's a community effort, but it has to happen very very soon.
Okay, we can end there. Thank you so much, Ragde Falcis from ChatGenie, for gracing us today. I learned so much. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks Alexis, I had fun.